It is a brand new season, which means that it is time for us to update our hero tier list here in T3 Arena. We have some very fun changes coming to today's tier list. Some of these changes might surprise you guys, especially if you have known me and have been following me in this game since the beginning of time. But let's dive right into this. I always want to start off by saying that all of these tier lists are, of course, opinion based. So if you agree with some of these things, let me know in the comments. If you disagree, let me know and why. We can always debate. But in my opinion, this will end up being my tier list for the entire season. And of course, this game is just very strong. All of the heroes pretty much are very strong. If you play any hero in the OP, S, or A tier, you're probably going to be able to find some success in the game. I still think OP and S are above the A tier heroes, even if it's ever so slightly. But if you master any of them, you'll become very strong. I will say, if you're playing a B tier hero, for the most part, you're probably just enjoying that specific hero, or you might get reported for trolling. It depends on which one of these heroes you pick. But let's dive right into these changes. First, we're going to start with the tanks. So for tanks, we're going to start making some movement here. Fade is going to come down from, oh no, I'm sorry, not Fade, wrong person. Fort, the big dog, is going to be moving from B tier all the way into the OP tier, man. The buff that they made to Fort in the middle of Super Season 3 was absolutely insane. This guy is now, in my opinion, I know this is about to shock the world, the best main tank now in T3 Arena. I think he actually surpasses Jabali. Let's go ahead and move all the tanks around right away, and then we'll talk more about it. But I'm going to be moving Jabali down from the OP tier into the S tier. We're going to be moving Tigris, the new hero. Tigris. I'm always going to get this backwards. I don't know which one it is, but Tigris is going to move in and join Fort in the OP tier. And then Fade is still going to remain here in the S tier. So why am I making these changes to the heroes? Well, I just feel like Fort, I mean, he's got the most, I think he has the most amount of normal shield in the game. Then his passive gives him that bonus shield. His damage, he literally out damages most players in this game. Every time I play him, I'm always up there in that 200, 300, 400k damage in the ranges that you normally only see some of the best DPS heroes in the game, like the Judix, the Christina, and I say best, I mean best in the damage category. You usually see like Christina and Judix, and I felt like on Damon, you usually see those heroes at the top of the game when it comes to having the highest damage. So I just feel like Fort having that much damage as a tank, having the most amount of shield, having that passive shield, having range and suppressive fire, being able to not only hold a shield like Jabali can hold a shield, because his shield actually does have quite a bit of health, but the fact that he can put his shield down and then have that cooldown going and then still provide damage at the level of some crazy DPS heroes, I mean, it's just so strong. Fort, best tank in the game right now, in my personal opinion. And Tigris did just hit the arena. I still think that he is now the best flank tank, or secondary tank if you want to call it that, in the game, with his ability to have a shield that's as strong as Jabali's, in a sense, to where it's invincible whenever you get to those right positions, and his shots can bounce off walls. They do consistent damage. He's someone that, you know, Ano kind of tried to be, but he's just so much better at doing it. And then, of course, his dash is insane, too, for mobility. You sort of think of the Victor when you think of that dash, or, you know, they try to make it with the Fade, how Fade was the better Victor. Now, Tigris is the better Fade, almost. Like, his dashes are so good, and I didn't even know this, but somebody told me in the comment section, I think a few of you guys told me this in the comment section, to where you can actually dash at an angle. So he can go up to the high ground with that and go through these different routes, get straight on top of the enemy, whether it's their DPS, especially those standstill heroes like the Gloria, who like to sit on the right hand peak and just hold his shield up. They're going to empty their entire clip. By the time they do that, he opens up and he just starts going crazy on them. And I mean, I just feel like Tigris is the best flank tank in the game, which moves Jabali down to the S tier because of the Fort and keeps Fade here in the S tier. Same thing, where it's like he was always that sort of really good secondary flank tank. A lot of people are probably going to debate with me here. I think we all know Ano and Zero Kelvin stay here in the B tier. With the Ruby and the Victor, I know there's some exquisite Victor players. So like I said, if you can play somebody really good in the A tier and play them at the S tier level, pop off and go for it. But in my opinion, I feel like I still like Victor here in the A. Maybe you can consider him upper A if you want, because I've seen some nasty Victors that I can't even kill. Like, there's some Victors out there, it's like a couple of them, like if they play well, but normally, of course, it's with a really good team. You have to have really good synergy. When you go up against that comp, it's scary. But even then, it's like, if you think about it, if you play up against a really good Fort and a really good Tigris, and they have that synergy, it's still going to be at a level higher than Victor, in my opinion. There's a couple Victor players and maybe a couple pros that'll disagree with that, but that's where I'm gonna be placing the tanks for this specific season. Moving on to the DPS heroes, we're gonna have a few changes here as well. I'm going to be moving Christina from A to S. We're gonna be moving Gloria is gonna be coming down from S to A. We're going to be moving Hunter. This is going to be the one that's going to cause a lot of drama. Even the Gloria might even cause drama, so I'm sorry. But down from S to A. And we're going to be moving Mark from A to S. Now, hear me out. Hear me out on these changes. So, Christina is like one of the easiest heroes in the game to play. Kind of. It's like, if you understand the game at a decent level and you have decent aim, Christina's damage that she's able to put out is always up in that 300k, 400k range, where she just puts out so much damage. She's so good in control. She's so good at hitting multiple targets, closing off choke points with her grenades. Her ultimate can catch a lot of players lacking. I just feel like her damage, and then especially her mobility. The mobility is one of those things that I feel like puts her above like the Gloria, where Gloria is really strong. The main thing with her is just, I have really strong gun. I sit on right hand peak. I shoot through a wall. If you can shut any of those things down, you can actually eat the Gloria pretty easily. Whereas Christina, trying to get onto a Christina is very tough because she just jumps and flies away and repositions perfectly, which can actually make it hard for flankers or anybody else to get a good grasp on her. So I just feel like Christina actually plays at the S level, in my opinion. And then the Mark, you look at the Mark and the Gloria, it's sort of the same thing where I feel like the utility, Mark brings a little bit more utility. Of course, Gloria's gun is stronger, especially at the longer ranges, and Gloria's second ult can be quite useful, but I feel like Mark, man, the way he's able to move on that hoverboard, you know, if you think about the longer ranges, you don't even want to play Gloria anyways. If you're going to talk about long range, you talk about the OP heroes, you talk about the Lascia, the Hua Ling, the Damon, like the Judix. If you want to play a long range, Osas, he played those heroes anyway. So if you think about it like that, and then you start to shorten it up to like the mid range, where most of the fights are happening right now in T3 Arena, if you're not playing at the sniper range, like Gloria's sweet spot's almost at like the mid to long, kind of. I know she can still play the mid-range well, and she can still sit on that wall really well, but Mark having the utility, able to go on that hoverboard, go on some crazy flanks, get out of dodge really quickly. His passive, I think, is one of the best, if not the best passive in the game. Able to heal up while he's on the hoverboard, able to reload while he's on the hoverboard, able to burst down his enemies with the rocket at the start of the fight while he's on the hoverboard, and then get the kills, get in and get out. And then his utility, I feel like, is on his second ult is a lot better anyways than Gloria's ultimates, where he can throw down and just sort of create that space. So I really do like the Mark and the Christina. Once again, if you play Gloria and Hunter really well, play it really well. The one that I had a really hard time moving down to the A tier, it wasn't even the Gloria, because I feel like she's so one trick and one dimensional anyways. It's the Hunter, because in theory, bro, you would think like Hunter should be one of the best heroes in the game. He's able to like one burst any hero if you land your headshots. I think two headshots and a body shot I think kills most heroes in the game, or it might even just be 3 headshots, but whatever it is, in theory it just sounds like Hunter with the 3-round burst should be so good. But there's just something different about the aiming mechanics on this hero. And then you would think that he also has a heal. That heal is really good, so you would think like between that and the 3-round burst you can just kill anyone. You would think S tier. But for some reason in this meta and in this game, and between all the players, whether it's how the game works, whether it's the meta, the combination, I just don't see Hunter. No one's playing Hunter. It's so rare to see him. I've played him a few times, but even then it's like when I want to think of like what do I want to play, I'm going to go either to the all the way to the left of the long range with OP, you know, Lascia, Hua Ling, or I'm going to go all the way to the right with Flanker. And if I'm going to play the mid-range hero, I actually usually don't even end up playing mid-range, but when I think about it, if I had to, I would play Christina or Mark. It's like, it's almost like he's the jack of all trades, master of none, kind of, when his gun is really that strong. So I just don't know. So if you want to have him in the S tier in your tier list, go for it, because I do think he's still strong, but for some reason it's just not in this meta. It's not playing the way that I would think on paper. So that's enough talking about the damage heroes in the game. We've got a couple of more changes here. We're going to be moving Chemist out from the B tier into the A tier. I feel like Chemist's buff in this recent update was pretty strong. She's a lot more viable with more ammo, more consistent damage. Her ultimate, that new ultimate, is very, very strong. I forgot they even actually added a whole bunch of other ultimates. It's going to take me ages to unlock them. But her new ultimate is very strong. I actually have hers. And if you're able to get that group ult down, you can deal out a lot of damage and force the enemy to spread out. So I've been really, really enjoying the Chemist. And just, sorry, this is the random comment about Ford. I forgot his second ultimate's actually really strong too with that AoE. He's just so much pressure, so much pressure. But then the final hero I'm going to be moving is the buff that they did to Kazuma, comes up from B. And I might be jumping the gun early here, and I know there's going to be a lot of flack because it's weird. Kazuma, yeah, it depends on which party you play more, which one you play less. I actually feel like Kazuma is going to be an S tier hero this season based on the gameplay that I've seen, based on how he moves, the recent buffs to where he does like consistent damage. Kazuma is strong, and it was hard for me to put him here because in my head, when I play flanker, it's going to be the Shell 10 out of 10 times if I want to play a flanker hero. So it's like, am I putting Kazuma into the S tier? Like, normally you would not think that, but his mobility is very good, and I've been running into some really good Kazuma players as well. Even as DPS, he's just so hard to hit being in the air, and the best Kazuma players don't just stand in the air in one place and get burst out of the sky. They're going to be moving around. They're going to be zooming through the air, getting into a good spot, landing really good damage, and getting out. So I feel like Kazuma is going to be playing at the S tier level. I was debating between keeping him from B to A, you know, but he doesn't. When I look at these A tier heroes, I feel like on paper he's ahead of them. You know, with Ya, she's got the buff too, and it's a good buff. It's a good buff with the damage to her dash and the damage to her Breeze Blast ultimate. So you would almost think too, so then is Ya an S tier hero? But she's a lot more linear than Kazuma. I feel like the skill ceiling on Kazuma is just higher. So in my opinion, I still think Kazuma plays at a higher level than the Ya. So overall, this is my tier list, I think, for this season. You know, everybody else sort of stays the same. We're just still really strong. It was only buffs, no nerfs. You know, Lascia, Hua, I don't even have to talk about them. Aletta, Neon, don't even got to talk about them. Just too strong. Strong heroes. Damien, I like her a lot. I still think her damage is incredible. Her shield breaking ability is incredible. Labula, I still think is above the Chemist, even if it's slightly. I think it's more than slightly, but I think Neon, Labula, Chemist into the Syndra. I think that's just the natural healing order. And of course we have the Iris, who can be really strong. She can be, but I still think Labula is ahead above Iris. And I actually even think Iris might be above. I can't even say that. I think they're just both in the same tier, just chilling there in the A tier, about the same level. We love Osas. He's strong. You know, you could even debate, oh, do I put him up to S? I don't think so, though. The infinite ammo on the Hua and the busted potential on Lascia is a little bit higher than Osas' Smoke. Still a very good hero. Scotty's really strong. I suck on her, but she's a really strong hero. Ruby and Victor, yeah, they're just holding their own Gatling. You know, if you play up against people that don't counter her, you can still melt. And then these heroes, the troll heroes. I report you for trolling if you come into my game with any of these heroes, bro. Because at the end of the day, of course, like I said, you can find success. And I know Anos, I hear the couple Ano players that want to be different. I get it. You can play Ano at a crazy level. I've had some crazy games on Ano. You guys have seen it in the videos. You can still make all these heroes work. It's just that all these other heroes do what they do way better. Vincent's always a wild card if they don't have headsets on, or if they're just not aware, they don't know how to stop him. Vincent can be strong. Sindri, How the Mighty Have Fallen. Even though these are not placed in like order left to right, I have to put her all the way to the right, because How the Mighty Have Fallen, from all, you know, one of the best heroes in the game, to literally, I would say, maybe the worst hero in the game, to be honest with you. Johnny Jet got a buff. It's still really not that strong in my opinion, and I feel like Diggy plays on the same level. So I know Diggy Maze, I'm sorry, I know y'all gonna eat me for this, keeping her in a B tier, but I just don't see her playing on the level as some of these other heroes. Let me know what you guys think of this tier list in the comment section down below.